Well, I mean, I Canadian boy, born and raised, but with German parents, right?
Oh, okay.
My dad would always give me the first sip of his beer up at the cottage in Bracebridge, Carling Redcap. And he'd pour the beer, and he always would he'd bad pour it. He'd like three fingers of foam, at the end of working out at the cottage or whatever. And he'd always give me the first sip of the foam, and I hated it. I was telling this story in Alberta, and like everybody agreed. Like for some reason, I've never heard everybody like, oh yeah, everybody thought beer was like the worst tasting thing on the planet. I was doing it because I thought it would make me feel older so I could stay up and watch the third period of the hockey game. Because at the time I was only allowed to watch the first two periods, right? They always used to show Peter Buck during the first period intermission and then Showdown during the second intermission. Beer was always around. It was European sort of style family. It was never held away from us. It was always there, right? And you're always allowed to take a sip, like good Italian families that they do with their kids, and a bit of wine on the table, watered down wine on Sundays at family dinners, and it was always there. I went to school for radio and TV at Ryerson, but I put myself through schools working in bar and restaurants in the city. Now by then, I mean, I was already a beer convert. I was already going to the Brunswick House and the Morrissey Tavern, famous old haunts in Toronto where they had, the pickled eggs and they had the deviled eggs and the pickles, and you'd get a tray of beer. You'd get a tray of those old little 8-ounce glasses, those LLBO glasses with the white line.
Yeah, remember those.
25 glasses for $28 or the other way around. You give the guy a 30, right?
What happened to those days?
I don't know, man. That's the one problem in this province, right? Some of the governance around alcohol is really archaic. No, I don't know, because nobody does that anymore. I don't know if you're even allowed to serve in those standards.
Yeah, because I don't think you're actually allowed to serve a pitcher of beer to one person.
No, I know you're not allowed. You're
one
correct.
First quantity that could get them drunk.
Yeah, but you know what? Ironically, 3 people can sit around and have one of those 120-ounce towers now.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Right, so I'm going like, it's odd to have growing up when, it used to be hidden away from you, like at the LCB, at the at the LOBO, right? Or no, it was the LCBO. It would, it was like going into consumers distributing. You'd have to fill out a form, go up to the guy, and then it would come out, and you put it in the bag, and it's like, here's your porn.
Yeah, in the brown paper bag.
Yeah, and now they realize, now it's like they're flash stores, and the LCBO is doing, a bit of a better job, I think, bringing in new and interesting beers than the beer store is, for obvious reasons. We know who controls the beer store.
Yeah, for sure. Now, on that note, do you, obviously you've traveled across our country and the world, just with liquor laws in general, do you see places that are a lot more liberal that maybe we should be thinking about modeling after, even provincially, the way Alberta's more privatized system actually draws more revenue for the government and more selection they have more selection than we do in Ontario, and we have so many more people in such a bigger market.
I'm really 6 of one, half. It's 6 of one, half a dozen. I don't want to see beer in corner stores.
Right.
I don't think it has to go to that level. I mean, the first time I went to New York City, I was like 18, 19, fake ID, staying in Times Square. We were down there with Ryerson, and I went to the local supermarket, and I bought every beer that I'd never had before. Yeah, it was Sapporo and St. Pauli Girl, and all these, and they were all skunky. And there's nothing you could do. They were all like orange in the bottle. They were dusty. I mean, I should have known better, but I was just so excited. It was like Captain Crunch and St. Pauli Girl on the same shelf. Like it was kind of wild like that, right? I don't think we have to go that far. I would like to see more choice, more selection. The irony is the more you travel, we got the cheapest prices in the country. It's expensive to drink in BC. It's expensive to drink in Quebec.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there. We go skiing.
Well, and there you just don't care.
Yeah.
No, but it is. We're doing a better job than we used to do here. It's a volumes game here, right? Like we're the Walmart of the liquor world.
For sure, yeah.
Unfortunately, we just don't have any competition for the Walmart.
Yeah, I know, and that's sort of the rub. I like the pricing. I think they're getting better. Of course we could do more and we could do better. I'd like to see sort of it move closer to relaxing some of the rules without going all the way. And not that I'm a prude or anything. It's just I think quality control and just you don't need to get it at the corner store. You should be able to walk 2 or 3 blocks. If it's
so like a boutique type store would be all right, just not your gas station shouldn't be selling you beer.
Oh, I like that in the States and in Europe. I do love that in Europe. I like that experience of going away somewhere else and and doing that. Especially on Thirsty Traveler, we were always in the back seat, right? We were never driving. So it was an excuse to just get go in there, you get a Red Bull or something, maybe a little vodka, or you get a couple of cans of beer, and it was like, and your tuna fish sandwich, I mean, but I wouldn't want to have that here. I honestly wouldn't. It's not like I can't control myself here. It's just, it's neat being away. I always tell this story. People are in Greece and they're sitting on the Aegean Sea, right? And they're watching the sunset and they're eating like fresh sardines, just flash grilled, 2 minutes on each side with some rock salt, and they're having ouzo, and it's like, oh my God, I'm gonna get laid tonight, and this is the best thing ever. And they're going home to Canada from Greece, and they buy a couple of bottles of ouzo because it just tasted so good. And then it's January, and they're watching hockey, and they ran out of beer, and they go, oh, let's just have some ouzo. And it's like, fuck, this stuff sucks. What was I doing? Like time and place have so much to do as well with how we remember drink and how it fits in. I love it away as an experience. It doesn't necessarily have to be exactly like that here. It wouldn't be. It never would be the same. It's never the same when you're on vacation versus where you live. The cottage is always different, right? You can't act like you're at the cottage when you're at home.
No, you wouldn't make it to work the next day.
No, exactly. Because it's so ingrained in our fabric. I do believe that, right?
Have you tried any of the more extreme beers like
Sam Adams,
Penguin, or the Utopias? Or
yeah, I had Utopia at Aspen Food and Wine.
What do you think of those? Are they trying too hard, or are they?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I don't want to I believe there's a place for that. Like I said earlier, it's nice that we have a niche or a cache where that stuff can go on, like that experimentation, that playfulness, right? Yeah, you get like 2 ounces, right? Because it's so expensive, and so you don't really get. It's like tasting it versus enjoying it. Utopia, I wouldn't buy it. I'd rather buy $101 beers versus one $100 beer. Typically, I'd rather do that.
On the flip side of that, do you think something like, when you're talking about Steam Whistle, do you think they've painted themselves into the corner with their growth potential by, their whole push in their marketing is we do one beer really well?
I mean, that's a funny thing, because I totally respect that idea in principle. I know if I was doing it, I'd get bored. Like, admittedly, I would start fucking with the program. But I like that when you have integrity like that. I don't know what the answer to that are. I like what Wellington's doing. I like what Great Lakes do with they sort of just play around a bit. They do one-offs, right?
Yeah, and like on that sort of note, even we were sitting down with Peter from Flying Monkey, and they're doing a series of beer called their Everest Experiments. Yeah. And it's just about doing stuff that just kind of stretching the limits just to show what you can do with beer. It's not going to be a moneymaker for them. They're not interested in that. It's just opening their mind, doing it because you can.
It allows them some creativity when you're just sort of staying the course on your other stuff, right? Like, so I like that idea.
Anything else you want to add before we wrap up? Anything you're looking forward to in New York?
I'm looking forward to going out to Brooklyn. Brooklyn's like off the hook right now for everything, for bars, for restaurants, fashion, for music, for breweries. I'm going to definitely spend some time in Brooklyn. New York sort of gets it. The one thing I'm looking forward to is not worrying about where I'm going to go or what I'm going to drink. New York is just so easygoing and confident at the same time. Like wherever you go, you're going to get something decent. Going to McSorley's, right? McSorley's, I love it. You been to McSorley's? Light or dark? Two for $5. Boom. It's as simple as that, right? So that kind of stuff, that's what I like.
Perfect. Well, thanks a lot for taking the time to chat with us today.
No worries, man. If there's anything else, feel free to follow up. If you find yourself accidentally in New York City in the next month, get my contact. Well, you got my contact information. All right, guys. Well, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.